Hello friends, this is Chandrakant from Akulmac Technologies and welcome to Top Brands. And let me also welcome my friend from UK, Mr. Naval Gant. Naval, how was the morning today in London?
Good morning, CK. Good morning, everybody. And it is typical summer. It's pouring down. It's stair rods. You can hear it in all the windows. But let's not dampen our spirits because today's Wednesday, so it's Snotty Wednesday. So what are we going to tell our young people today?
It is Sorty Wednesday and Mr. Naval is back in his flamingo shirt. So that is a welcoming sign. So I think the topic of discussion is we are moving beyond the presentability, how to set up your technical stuff like camera, light, how to look good, how to speak. I think the topic now for today is how do you create engagement with the client, with the viewers? Because if you're talking in a physical world, you are actually seeing, hundreds of people in front of you. You know what they're thinking. You have the ability to change your pitch to attract as many people as you want. But when you're talking on a video, you don't see the other side. And yet you have to appeal to the people who are not even visible to you. And how do you create that stickiness? How do you induce that glue in your content, in your video? That is something that we would like to take your inputs on. And I think that is a very critical subject today. So Naval, what is your opinion?
Well, I love the way you explain it, CK. That stickiness, that little bit of glue, the thing that really brings people into the screen so that you're waiting their every word. And you're absolutely right. Speaking into a screen is not easy. Not easy at all. You're not having this one-to-one conversation. I mean, we're lucky because I can see your smiley face. So I can see whether you're listening, you're interesting, whether I need to change the tone down or put the tone up. But we can't do that in literally a 90-second interview because that's what we've got. So the tricks of the trade are be engaging. That very first time that someone sees you in your video is going to be the time that they're going to start to judge you. And I'm not talking about judging you in a negative way, okay? This is judging in a positive way. So feel good about it. Feel excited about it. Because if you get into your interview, your 90 seconds, it's a minute and a half. You'd be amazed how fast a minute and a half will go. We've been talking for longer than a minute and a half, and it's just flown by. And it always does flow by because we need to be engaging. We need to get to the point. So this is pressure, okay? Now, you can look at this video time and time again, and I will still say this is pressure because in 90 seconds, you've got to get over your message. It's a brilliant example for if you're going to be going into the entrepreneurship to get your message over in a very short period of time. So you need to be presentable. As CK's already mentioned, my flamingo shirt. Make a statement, you know? I'm wearing this today because I'm actually about to go and play golf, although, frankly, in the weather that we've got out there, I'm not too sure that the flamingos will be very happy about getting wet. But the point is, make a statement. We've talked about the technical bits. Look into the camera. It's the most difficult thing in the world to do, look into the camera. Firstly, finding out where it is, because it's not down here and it's not over here, it's up there. But if you're using an iPhone, guess what? It's in the top right-hand corner. If you're using a Dell machine these days, it's in the bottom left-hand corner. So, you need to be looking down there because that's where the camera is. So be presentable. Be in that arena where people can understand what you're saying and how you're saying it. And notice, I don't know whether you noticed, my background changed.
I did.
Amazing, isn't it? Yeah, you did, But that's what's going to happen, you know? Was it done automatic? Was it done deliberately? Only you're going to guess about that one, okay? But this was for impact. This is the impact you have in a short video. It's 90 seconds. I mean, CK, 90 seconds. It's just goes in an instant, doesn't it? I mean, how many conversations do you have that last hours and hours and hours that could be summarized in 90 seconds? Yeah, I can see you smiling because you're thinking about it.
Well, I think the first 90 second is what matters, and you're going to make or break in the first 90 seconds. Even though after your first 90 seconds have gone, you can actually continue talking for an hour. But I think the impression is made in the first few minutes of your conversation. So I think one of the trick that is important for a video is you know, do very good research on the subject on which you're talking. Because if you're just talking too many words with very little meaning, I think you're going to put off your viewers and they will just move on. They will not watch the videos. In fact, many times if you see the videos, you don't want to stick around more than 10 seconds. So that you don't want to happen to your video. So make sure that you have a well-researched subject. You have subject matter expertise so that you can use certain keywords to attract these people as a glue. Because if you're talking about certain keywords and then that this person has done some research and there is something for me to take, so they will stick around in your video, they will watch it, and therefore. And second thing is, you have to convey your messages in the minimum words, because nobody has patience to listen to your long essays. You have to use the minimum words to convey the right message. So I think you have to form your sentences, making sure that you use the English properly. And English is a very flexible language. You can convey the same thing in 10 sentences, or you can convey the same thing in half the sentence. So make sure that you convey quickly, so that since you have 90 seconds, you convey maximum. And the listeners are also getting in their ears the keywords, and that will create the stickiness. So what do you think, Neville?
It's absolutely brilliant, because you're explaining things that you listen for. You do a lot of interviewing, you do a lot of commenting, you do a lot of meetings with other people, and it is all of those things. It's that stickiness, it's the keywords that you're looking for. It's that motion. And as you've noticed, I changed my background 2 or 3 times. I wonder how many people noticed it. But if you're in this video arena, remember, you don't know who's watching. You are on parade throughout that 90 seconds. So let's give you some very simple, we're just going to give you one tip, because like anything else, if I give you a whole list of things, it will be overwhelming and you won't do any of them. So we're just going to give you one tip. And this tip I learned from a really good friend of mine that was a BBC reporter. He spent probably 10 years of his life reading the news. Now, if you look at these people reading the news, they're very engaging. They look at the screen. If you go to where they read the news, they're not in this huge chasm of a cave with lots of screens and lots of people rushing around. They tend to be in a corner cupboard, stuck away in the middle of nowhere with all these gadgets around them. They can hardly move. They're so rigid that they daren't move because they can't get out a camera shot. Okay? These are the people actually you can learn a tremendous amount from. And Clive said to me, almost the first time I met him, and I said, Clive, I really like the way you present. And he said, it comes from practice. So we're going to give you 2 tips today. Number 1, it comes from practice. So you need to practice, and more practice. But the other thing is, and I didn't know this until he said it to me, they talk about the elevator pitch in some of these meeting groups. One particular one is BNI. It's a worldwide network. They talk about the elevator pitch, and it's a 30-second or a minute or 5 minutes. You've got a pitch that lasts for 30 seconds or a minute or 5 minutes. And the interesting thing is, Clive said, what you need to do is to break down your pitch into segments. And you said it, CK, the keywords. So just like when you're writing a long report, you pick out the headings for the long report. And then you fill out that long report. And then what you need to do is to create the executive summary. And that's the 90-second interview that we're asking you to do. That 90-second pitch, that executive summary. You're just going to pick out a few key areas that you're going to talk about in 90 seconds. So if we split what he would do, he would split 90 seconds down into 15-second segments. So for the mathematicians out there, I don't need to tell you how many segments there are of 15 seconds in 90 seconds. For the non-mathematicians, I'll make it easy for you. There are 6. So what you need to do is to break it down into 6 segments. The really important segments are the first and the last. Because the first one is, how engaging are you? Are you presentable? Are you going to talk about something that I'm interested in? And the last one is that leaving the impression. What are you going to leave them with? But that doesn't mean to say that the 4 segments in the middle are not equally important. They are important, but if you've made a noise at the beginning and you're going to leave them with a noise at the end, you need to make sure that the noise is consistent. So rather than noise, it needs to be music. And it's not music from an orchestra that's tuning up. You know, I'm sure many of you have heard an orchestra, you know, there's like 30 or 40 piece orchestra and they're tuning up and they're doing it individually, but they're not playing together. And they're all going, and they're all doing it at different noises and different sounds. And it sounds noisy. But when they make music, when the conductor gets there and goes tap, 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 and everyone is ready to go, and when he waves his wand, the first time the baton goes, bingo, they're in position and they're off and running. Now, whether that's a musical orchestra of 400 pieces, or whether it's a duet, you know, or a single soloist, they're making music. And that's what you need to be doing in this 90 seconds. A short intro, building up so that people are more interested as they go through, and bang, hit them at the end so that you leave them with an impression. And that's as simple as it is.
It's very simple. In fact, it's a great advice, Neville, that you're asking us to do, is to break down our 90 seconds into 50 seconds pitch. So you can have different segments of your 90-second program. And I think this is so true because you mentioned songs. I think it's similar. You know, we're talking about making a video, but I think it also applies to the songs. So if you listen to a song and if it is not appealing to you in first 50 seconds, you're going to change the channel. So first 50 seconds has to be very, very engaging, and next 50 seconds will be determined by the performance of your first 50 seconds. So I think you have to plan your pitch in such a way, well-researched subject, even if you're talking about some current affairs or some technology or home care. It has to be engaging, it has to appeal to the people, and it should be very original. It should not be run-of-the-mill stuff where thousands and thousands of videos are floating around on the net. It has to be unique, and that will create stickiness, and that will drive traffic to your video. So thank you very much, Neville, for giving us this advice, and I'm sure the SOTI Award contestants would take these tips and incorporate in their videos. So as usual, it was a pleasure talking to you. we'll catch up again tomorrow.
Always fun, CK. Always fun. Don't forget, guys, 90 seconds is all about practice, practice, and more practice. Enjoy your stickiness. I love it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.